Welcome to Seven Trumpets Prepper Channel. And guys, welcome to another edition of the Hard Truth Show. I know that people that are watching this live right now are like, man, it is not 8 o'clock at night, Luke. No, it is not, guys. But I have a busting headache. And I'm going to do the stream early for once. And so I apologize to everybody that's going to come in the building at 8 o'clock tonight. And the stream's already streamed. And then they're going to be like, what happened with that? So my apologies in advance. I know some people are asking, this is a little bit of a fringe topic. I promise it is very relevant to the time we're in. And sporting this shirt is not available in Abby's shop before somebody asked, but I just wore it in the spirit of technology and stuff tonight that we're going to be talking about some other things. We're living in some crazy, weird times in the last days, and we're going to see a dynamic shift in society and how we go about our normal day-to-day lives very soon. It's going to be a wild ride. There is going to be cataclysmic events that is going to change things in all across the board, just physically, financially, mentally, just everything that how we conduct our lives. You're going to see a shift here in the near future. With that said, though, guys, before we get going, fair use for anything that's shared tonight. Also, views expressed on this channel and by guests also that we have on this channel does not necessarily reflect the views of Seven Trumpets Prepper Channel. All right. With that said, I don't know if it will be after sunset by the time I get on into this presentation tonight. So we may not be doing a shout out to channel affiliates. But with that said, appreciate the channel affiliates. You can always check them out in the links in the video description below. Because, guys, we stream on here on Sabbaths at 8 p.m., except for tonight because I feel like a dumpster fire and been ran over by a bus. So I'm going to do the stream early tonight and make an executive decision on that. But we always do it at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and new moon days, we do it at 12 p.m. Eastern time. All right. So with that said, I'm going to go straight in to the presentation tonight. And what I want everybody to take away from this, and also there is over on the actual page. Sorry, guys, let me pause that. I've got a poll going right now, and it looks like everybody is voting. I asked the question, are we going toward a cyberpunk dystopian future or a steampunk? And when I say steampunk, I want people to understand there's two types of steampunk. There is like the crazy outfits and you know, this kind of sci-fi Victorian thing. I'm talking about like technology, the 1900s steampunk kind of thing. You know, when dirigibles were in the sky, people actually dressed like men and women actually dressed like women, and people were modest and respectful. And, you know, we had electric cars before Tesla motors were around. And, you know, what was it? The Wycliffe tower that Tesla had that was wirelessly transmitting electricity. You know, we had some really like cool tech that apparently just dropped off the face of the earth. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about back then. Oh, somebody just said steampunk. Airships, brass, coal, corsets, you know, a bunch of different stuff there. But yeah, I'm talking about like when vertical steam driving industrial engines and just all that stuff. And hey, shout out to everybody. Shalom. Love everybody coming in the building. We're going to get this party started. But when we look at the future, we're going to go one of two directions. Okay. It's just a given. Okay. Because the future that is held for us when the seven trumpets of Revelation start, we're going to see society greatly disrupted, and either cyber technology and the ramp up of the New World Order is going to double down, or things are going to be deeply disrupted and we are going to grind to a halt per se and go backwards. And the problem is if, you know, say the seven trumpets of Revelation happened 100 years ago, you could still turn your lights on because you could go out there and put wood in the boiler and run a steam engine. You could, you know, still grow your food and crops pretty consistent because, you know, all you had to do was go out in the backyard on your homestead and grow that. You weren't living in big cities. Like, you see, the difference is that forward motion is an absolute dumpster fire. Backwards motion right now is an absolute dumpster fire, but it didn't have to be 100 years ago, but it would be now if you're not already an off-gridder, if you're not already a homesteader. See, that's the difference. Because, you know, today we have Boeing 757s, 47s, whatever flying in the sky. We used to have dirigibles, you know, airships flying in the sky. And what was it? It was the that one tower in Chicago. Man, Empire State Building or whatever. I think there was a Zeppelin tethered to it once, and it used to be a docking platform or something. I mean, just it's amazing to me like how much awesome stuff we had back in the day, and you know, we just like threw that all out the window, and now we've got like just garbage for technology, so-called technology nowadays. When you actually look back, I think it was in the 1920s. You can literally Google this. People think that Skype FaceTime's an awesome thing now. Back in the 1920s, you could actually pick up the phone and call somebody and view them on the view screen somewhere else while you were talking to them on the phone. Now think about that. All right. And you can Google this stuff. They had scooters. I think it was in the late 1800s, early 1900s. They had scooters in the Victorian era. I mean, just all this cool stuff. And I'm just like, have we really grown that much in 100-something years? Okay. So with that said, something to keep in mind is where we're at. And sorry, this cut that off, but the image that Daniel's seen in the vision, you know, yeah, Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, Rome. And then we're down at the very end where you have America as a world power, you know, and the politically divided world in the time of the end, when before that great stone cut without hands smites the image, you know, and destroys it. We are literally in the last generation. And this is so important to understand because, you know, I know a lot of people will argue nowadays that when Rome changed the law or tried to change the 10 Commandments, right? What is it? Where the scripture talks about that they would attempt to change times and laws, right? What is it? Daniel 7:20, I believe it is. And Father, please forgive me if I quote the wrong chapter and verse there on that. Guys, I'm telling you, my head, I don't know what's going on tonight. Please just pray for me. But if you look at that, 7:25, I think it's Daniel 7:25, is that he will seek to change times and laws, right? Appointed times and seasons, right? And the laws and everything. So, which would be the 10 Commandments, right? The Torah. And so when we look at that, we know that living in the last days that we're in, that, you know, the Roman Catholic Church has a different set of commandments. They also are the one who all the world wonders after, keeping their false calendar right now, when people's beating each other over the head saying they should be going to church on SUN Day, and some people saying you should go to church on SAT Day or F Day sundown to SAT Day sundown, when in reality you should be looking for the new moon and then counting 6 work days and keeping the Sabbath, just like Moshe did and everybody else in ancient scripture. All right. Which is another topic for another time. But the thing is, we are in the last days. All right. And many will run to and fro, and knowledge will increase. The book of Daniel is so deep on what is going on in the last days. Okay, guys. So now I bring this topic up, one, because I love the technology from either steampunk or cyberpunk. And I thought it'd be nice to just take a break from just such deep hard hitting all the time and just have a casual conversation that is still very relevant to the time, but something that really nobody's talking about, because we're going to go down one path or the other. And I don't think people's made any mental preparation for either path in which you're going. Because we're going to take one of them. That I can tell you. You don't have to be a prophet to see that. We're going to either go backwards 1900 style, or we're going to go deeper in New World Order, China's social credit score system junk that I'm going to talk about in a minute. All right. So now I looked at this, and of course it's got the also from the Jesuits and the Roman Catholic Papal Church globe model. When you look here, you see that they're saying that the radius for a high altitude burst of a nuclear device, the EMP that would be produced off that, and using North America as a example, that it would be, you know, like 480 miles. Then at 120 miles up, it'd be 1,000 miles. And then at 300 miles, it'd be 1,470 miles. And I'll be honest with you, I think a lot of these charts and stuff that people share, it's just garbage. But let's just say that, you know, an aircraft, commercial aircraft that I've flown on, I think they fly about 6-7 miles above above the world, right? Up in the air. So let's just say the thing is 10 miles at best. Well, that means that if we divide 480 in half, we're going to get about, let's see, that'd be 150. You're going to have about 150 mile radius. So a bunch of nukes let off over the radius of the area where the U.S. is. This is still possible with more nukes and a lower atmospheric level, that you could pretty much wipe out the U.S. with an EMP. Now, I say this because this is the only thing that holds me back from saying, yes, 100% sold out. We're going down the cyberpunk dystopian future. Actually, if this would happen, this would be a huge blessing to those of us that's trying to get away from the beast system, because 2025, when I've talked about in the past about AI, about New World Orders plans, all that garbage, if you look at that situation, that would take out a lot of tech. And now, don't get me wrong, the government's always trying to make preparation. I mean, for crying out loud, I think it's the same company I put EMP protection system on off-grid systems for customers, is the same company that's selling that same tech to the government now to use on their stuff. So I'm just saying, like, I know they're trying to make preparation for this stuff. But nevertheless, with the look at this aspect, is that if this happened, you would definitely roll back things toward 1900s, right? Victorian era, steampunk, all the way. But now the problem is, if we go this direction, many people, they have an electric vehicle, they have all electric appliances, they don't have any preparation to grow food. I mean, like, you're going to be dead in the water immediately, okay? Now, cyberpunk moving forward, if we keep going the path we're going, eventually you don't do what the government says, they'll turn your Tesla car off. You don't do what the government says, they'll turn your bank off. Just blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? But I just want to put this to mindful. Second thing is our electrical grids are greatly strained, ladies and gentlemen. There was an explosion at the Hoover Dam the other day down by the power plant. I think believe that was yesterday. And, you know, I'm just telling you, like, the sun, I use this picture right here because the sun is setting on our electrical systems in America, especially like our grid. Some places I drive through and some places I work. And keep in mind, I don't commentate on stuff like I'm an expert at it or anything. But when it comes to off-grid, I have worked in the off-grid field all across the world. You know, I've took my knowledge from Europe to Alaska to up into Canada down toward Mexico. Okay, guys, I've been around. I have done hundreds and hundreds of projects for people, either figured them out or bolted them down, etc. And I'm telling you, verbatim fact, the electrical grid in some places, it is absolutely like 50. It's still stuck in the 1950s, 1960s. The new power lines set up look nice. The new electrical box in your house looks nice, but the steam plant and the power plant and the hydroelectric dam is older than dirt. You know, I can go to Cherokee Dam over here in Jefferson City, not too far from where I live, and I literally took my son fishing not too awful long back, and the dam, there was water leaking through the concrete wall. Okay, I mean, we are just way teetering on bad things to happen. Somebody said I voted steampunk. Let me look and see the vote. Oh man, the votes right now, it's 50-50, guys. Wow. Now, if I could vote, I would topple it by just one vote, because I would vote cyberpunk, but I would prefer, obviously, we to go back 1900 style, because I know how to make a wood gasifier. I've showed people that on Doomsday Preppers when I was on their season 2, episode 10. I've showed it on here on YouTube. If I could get a vertical steam engine and a boiler, I could run a 48-volt permanent magnet wind generator motor on it and charge up a battery bank, which I think would be a really freaking cool video to make. But I mean, there's ways to get by as long as you make preparation ahead of time. You could still live in the modern world that we live in using old tech, and I think that right there is really awesome too. All right, but the other factor we need to keep in mind is 7 Trumpets of Revelation is going to disrupt our lifestyle that we live right now. Everybody needs to understand discomfort is ahead of us, okay? Especially those of us believers, we're going to have to deal with persecution. But those first 4 trumpets, I've said this recently. I said it at the United in Yah event that I participated in recently. Like, these first 4 trumpets, something we all need to be prepared for, depending on where you live in the world, because it's going to affect you in some capacity or another. All right. So moving forward with all those things in mind, the last thing I want to say is that, you know, with the Georgia Guidestones, the New World Order's 10 Commandments fell recently. I know people are asking or probably have questions. Are we still doing the event? Absolutely. We are still going to have the prayer event. If I have to do it in the parking lot or on the side of the highway, I'm going to do it still. We're going to change things up a little bit. This is a prayer meetup for praise and worship to the Most High and thank him that those evil things fail now, because it was going to be a prayer meetup to ask for him to dispose of those. But now we're going to do that as a praise meetup, and then also continue to pray for the demise of the New World Order. And if you didn't see the recent stream I did about that, now I have even more, many more unanswered questions than I did even before that I was going to go there and see that. Now, we've been planning this event now for months, and of course they were destroyed 3 weeks before the event. So that's been very interesting. And another thing, guys, when I was talking about preparing for 7 Trumpets Revelation, if you haven't seen that stream, that is that's the stream I was doing week before last, I believe it was. And I really encourage you to check that out, because it's very relevant to the times we're living in right now and what's coming. And I just had to share this, guys, with you for a laugh, because it says, okay, who blew up America's satanic Stonehenge? Guys, everybody is in the know knows that that's exactly what that place was. All right, so let's get a handle on this, because I know people's like, I don't know what cyberpunk is. I don't know what steampunk is. All right, well, difference between .net. If you want to check this out, I thought it was the most handy one to go to, the verses on it, so we can see, are we going to go forward into, like Blade Runner, Matrix, dystopian, a New World Order state, or are we going to go backwards 1900 style, which I would prefer. Crazy way people are behaving. You don't know if you'll make it through a grocery store. Oh, I know, things are it's crazy. And somebody said, I think the cyberpunk will come but end in steampunk. Wow, that might actually, Crypto Homegirl, that may be the comment of the night. Let's give her a shout out, guys, because I got to be honest with you, that may be exactly how that happens. And somebody said, "Was Revelation's not an option?" Guys, Revelation is going to take place. It's the lifestyle in which we're going to be dealing with. I don't think people really take this. I think people's going to look at this live stream and laugh, and not even a lot of people's not going to watch it. And it's actually going to be probably one of the most valid live streams I've ever made yet. Because you're going to be living one of these lifestyles. We're either going to be living like our great-great-grandfather and grandmother 100 years ago, actually 120 years ago-ish now, or we're going to be living something out of the pages of a terrifying nightmare of a dystopian future with, Nazi 2.0 fascist life. I mean, you wait until I get on into this presentation. But all right, with that said, cyberpunk, it's a futuristic world portrayed as the one in which its society is largely controlled by computer technology. You mean like AI? You mean like 2025 it'll be fully autonomous? You mean like robots that the government's already paying to be made so it can go around murder people? You mean like a drone could like bomb my house and I never know about it? You mean like every transaction I make the government's watching? That don't seem like that'd be too reasonable to happen. It revolves around technological innovations that spring from modern age of the internet. That don't sound like that's the time we're living in. Cyberpunk clothing and blah blah blah. We don't need to worry about that. People's clothing outfits, it's just crazy anymore. Actually, some people go around, they just need to put some clothes on. It is highly influenced by the new wave science fiction movement of the 1960s and 1970s. And I think honestly, though, the real uptick of it was like the late 80s, because technology has fiction has imitated reality now. Okay. Because like things that used to be fiction are actually a reality before us. Like for example, Star Trek, they had the little communicator, and literally now we have, cell phone where you can talk to somebody, immediately. I mean, it's crazy, guys. The stuff that's going on, absolutely crazy. But and then it says here, example, Blade Runner, The Matrix, Terminator, Ghost in the Shell, Total Recall, Tron Legacy. These are examples of like science fiction and like a cyber dystopian future. I would also an honorable mention with that movie In Time that I said, INTIME, because of the having to pay with your hand and just crazy stuff. And then steampunk, it's a subgenre based upon technological innovations from an alternative world inspired by Victorian era technology. Or, as I said in the very beginning, it is the 1900 style lifestyle living in an industrial revolution age, which is exactly where we're in. And Joy Trujillo said, by the way, Crypto Homegirl, people are agreeing with you in the comments on that, because I agree with you as well. I think that's the comment of the night so far. Anyway, fusion technology and aesthetics inspired by 19th century steam-powered machinery. Going on down through there, examples: Time Machine, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Wild Wild West, Hugo, Sherlock Holmes, stuff like that. Just Victorian style times. And of course, there's like sci-fi Victorian stuff, right? When it comes to things. But now here's where I really want to get in the heart of the matter, is what you have to understand is, because now some people, there's ignorance and then there's stupidity. And I hate to say this, but people in my generation down younger, some people are just stupid. So they're not going to get what I'm saying. And guys, I apologize if you hear my corgis in the back. I don't know what's going on the farm today, but apparently something is exciting happening out there. But the timeline of inventions, if you look at the 1900s onward, just from the last 100 years, just Google it, timeline of inventions, 1900 onward, all right? Or you can zoom this, take a picture of the screen here and blow this up and zoom it in. I mean, you got everything from Wi-Fi to automobiles to cell phones to so-called space travel, which we know is garbage. Anybody really looked into that? But I mean, just all sorts of knowledge. It is unbelievable at just how much stuff has been brought forward in the last 100-something years that has fundamentally restructured and changed people's lives. Just absolutely changed people's lives. So if I want to just, I go through these comparisons so you understand that when the trumpets start, and you understand when society does crumble, because it will crumble. I've got examples to show you just in 3 days time frame how quickly just things here in America has crumbled before, and you think that it's just going to keep propped up forever. You're insane. But I'm going to show you, like, from steampunk, Victorian, 1900 style, applied to future where we're at right now, how that you just look at your life and say to myself, okay, if this crumbles and goes backwards, or if this continues down the path it's going, how do I live a parallel lifestyle that I can still thrive in an environment where it is going to be fundamentally changed? Like, folks, in the next 5 years, if time continues on, things are going to fundamentally change. They have told us since 2015 that AI is coming. It will be online by 2025, fully autonomous. I have showed that in the past. You can see how they're making Terminator-style robots now, that these are soulless creatures that can be programmed to do terrible things to you and your family. Like, I don't know how much more I have to beat people over the head to show you, like, we are headed down a path, and it is a destructive path, okay? So anyway, when we look at the Industrial Revolution, to me, it is one of the most fascinating things times in history of humanity. If you've not seen, I mean, obviously my office is styled Victorian old world. I have the green walls and the mahogany, like cherry style wood, and just everything in. I mean, like, look at this. This is some art I keep on my desk. It's like, this is from London, 1857. They're personal binoculars, right? I mean, I just have all sorts of knickknacks laying around from Victorian time. Check this out. I mean, it's like old world lighter. Just keep on the desk, just all sorts of cool knickknacks. I love it. And it's just a beautiful, elegant time. But we had so much then that, like, there was an article published recently that said that dirigibles and airships is going to start being a thing now, because that they can go places that normal aircraft cannot go. And it's crazy to me. I'm like, okay, so it took like almost 100 years to get the brain power to figure out, hey man, this might actually be worth investing in again. But like, this stuff was around back in the day, guys. Like, you have to understand, like, this stuff was legit back in the day, used. All right. But if you look at where we're headed, take away the flying car effect, and I mean, like Blade Runner, and synthetic humanoids and things like this, and Terminator droids and all the stuff that's going on. I mean, like, we are headed down this path. And I absolutely agree with Crypto Homegirl, I think was the name on that person's comment earlier tonight, is that we're going down this cyber path, and when we're going to result in destruction, and we're going to roll back all the way to the Industrial Revolution. Like, what is Klaus Schwab? We're going to the fourth Industrial Revolution, right? Or whatever bullcrap he said. We are literally going to go backwards. Homeboy thinks we're going like into some crazy new age, and you're going to imprint on everybody's DNA and all this crazy stuff. we're going way backwards after they get this cyber future thing going. And, you know, two videos that are two streams that's coming up that next week will be about, you know, where do we go when we die? Okay. I think that's a very important discussion to have. It's a hard truth show needs to be done ASAP. You know, that one is definitely going to be coming up. So take a look for that, guys. I'm going to be working vividly on that this week. And, you know, this whole deal, this whole deal with just changing DNA and everything. I don't know how many times I have to cover it, but I'm going to keep hammering it in the years ahead, because we are going down the where that science fiction is starting to be where fiction's imitating reality, just like I said earlier on some other stuff. And so he said, laugh out loud. That's what he said. All right. Oh, man. Mercy gracious. All right. So anyway, moving forward. Further, you know, we got like the Matrix, just where that, where he talked about that, what's his name in there was talking to Neo, I think it was, and he said, you know, that people's been part of the system so long that they will fight to defend it, you know, and it's just one of those deals, guys, where that we can't have these realistic, reasonable conversations with some folks. All right. And so with that said, you look at the first thing that I want to point out that is so important about this discussion is power. And that slide was actually an old print image or whatever of a vertical steam engine. Or I'm sorry, that one was a horizontal steam engine, I think. But anyway, I've got this one here. I want to actually purchase one of these for the farm as soon as possible. I've been looking online, and then I can probably weld up the boiler. So I'm not too worried about that, but I do want the steam engine, if at all possible, because you can actually run off the flywheel, a belt drive to a gearbox that would then be reduced down to run the permanent magnet generator, and you would be off to the races charging up your batteries. And furthermore, I can use the steam engine for other applications other than just charging the battery bank too, which I think will be awesome. And there you go, Joy. Absolutely. This is comment number 2, second place of the night right there. Everyone will protect their comfort zone. They absolutely will. And this is why so many will wander after the beast and also take the mark. I mean, look, guys, look how many people took the snake bite. How many people took the snake bite? And their DNA is no more, right? I mean, it's just been compromised, right? So anyway, another thing is, you know, you look back at the old Victorian and early 1900s tech, and you know, like late 1800s into 1900s, is, you know, I should have put the electric vehicle in here as an honorable mention, but or Tesla with the one that he put the antenna on, just pulled it from I think it was that lithosphere. But this here wood gasifier is what you see strapped on the back. And if you don't know how wood gasifier works, let me help you. Wood will put off a gas at 451 degrees. You have to get to at least 451 degrees. So then you will have the boiler pretty much drum, and then you have another container that actually holds the wood inside it. That then goes piped out into an aftercooler pretty much and filtered out. And then that gas is piped over into a combustion engine, therefore, in which the spark hits it, it ignites it, and you have combustion. It's really cool. Really, really cool stuff. And like I said, I built one I ran a generator off of it. So if I can't get my vertical steam engine thing going on and full Victorian style steampunk going on, I can definitely get wood gasification going on. But it is, let me tell you, it is a nasty process if you don't do it right. Now, there is units out there you can actually buy nowadays, so just keep that in mind. But we live in an era where, you know, and I'm knocking my own business right now, but this is where everybody leans to. You know, one day the Most High is going to turn the lights out for a bit on the fourth trumpet. I mean, guys, like there is some serious shakeup. People are going to get shook out of their comfort zone. And when the sun don't shine, you know, you can pretty much count that the wind probably won't blow either for a while. So like a lot of the technology that we think are just alternative energy and amazing, which is, and it's great innovations, it's going to get straight crazy out here for a while. And you're going to have to go back to doing some things old school that most people don't know how to do nowadays. I saw an old man that drives one he made. He lives in Appalachia. Oh, that's really cool. There is people that have them and do that. So, you know, another thing is I'm gonna say is technology too. You know, not just power. But technology, you know, used to, this was what you would see on an office desk, right? You had your calendar, your notepad, I mean, all the old school stuff that, you know, a smartphone has replaced. And you know, you used to write letters to people, put stamps in and all that good stuff. Like all this has pretty much disappeared in the modern world. You know, we all go home to our domicile that the government has told us to stay imprisoned in the past couple years on lockdown. And, you know, all you have is pretty much a desk with a book on it and your smartphone. Like that's, you know, that's where we're at. And technology is great. You know, it's condensed all that down into that. You know, we went from old school cars, you know, old mechanical combustion stuff to, you know, my Cybertruck that I keep waiting on to get, which apparently is now supposed to be produced in 2023. So, which is great. My credit score might actually be up enough that I can actually make a purchase on one by then. Oh man, divorces are great, dude. They destroy your credit. But anyway, oh yeah, here's third place comment of the night right there. I actually think we're headed to a Mad Max world. We are. I think crypto. I think it was Crypto Homegirl said it right. We'll go cyberpunk first. Okay, we'll get all the Mark of the Beast system, everything going. The trumpets will bring everything and nations crumbling down, and then it will be back to 1900s or the Wild Wild West, and then it will be absolutely a dystopian Mad Max paradise. You just hold your breath and watch. And right here, as many as possible should go off grid. Absolutely, that's the only way, guys, and that's a message that I'm trying to preach in this tonight. And then of course you got like the Wright brothers, right? And then here we are 100 years later, and we've got just absolutely magnificent flying technology. And furthermore, the dirigibles and the airships that's about to be put back into service right now, at least for cargo hauling, is going to be really cool to see fly again. And then you know, you keep going. You have like the old school navigating the world, a compass, to nowadays where you just punch in where you want to go on your smartphone and you're instantly there. You know, instantly it'll take you there, right? And then, you know, we have like back in the day trying to make $1 and people's gold mine in the gold rush. And nowadays it's literally you mine it in your basement. I mean, we're living in a really wild world. And I'm not, once again, not trying to sound hypocritical. Shoot, I got crypto mine equipment there, crypto mine basement, just all sorts of stuff. Trying to take advantage of that so that I can take that and turn that something to tangible to be prepared for when all this goes awry, because we are running out of time. All right. Well, moving forward on that, the big thing when you have this conversation with people like, I don't care, this is not a valid conversation I have. It's not valid to the time we're in. Well, actually, it's a very valid topic. And when you start talking about which end we're going backwards or forwards, is that government control is a huge thing. Now, this is why I wish that when the trumpets start, we actually go backwards, because, you know, back in the day, you had to go to the government most often for them to even know who you were or to find you or to have any information on you. I mean, for crying out loud, there wasn't even a marriage license until after I think it was the 1930s and stuff. You know, I mean, it's just crazy different stuff that we deal with now that we didn't have to then. Now, moving forward, Uncle Sam is watching us right now. Literally, I've got some probably purple-haired social justice warrior that is part of maybe the alphabet community too at YouTube. That is what is it? What is it? They're easily offended at everything that's said, right? And I don't hate anybody. I'm not prejudiced to anybody. I'm just saying, like, it's amazing to me that in so many large industry companies and stuff, just like, and especially tech companies, is that everybody wants their voice to be heard, but they also want to control whose voices is heard. I think that is amazing to me, just astonishing to the mind. And I've seen this channel greatly throttled. I produce more content consistently now, I think, than ever before. And I'm throttled now more than ever. The day I hit 80,000 subscribers finally, it's going to be a shock to me. I'm like, oh, this is the week we're going to hit 80. Oh, no, it's next week. I'm like, man, we ever make it 100K, I'm going to just be mind blown. I'm going to put that darn plaque on the thing right there that I survived the media blackout on YouTube world here. But guys, also speaking of that, real quickly before we go forward, if you have not went over to Odyssey, make sure to check out the link in the video description below, because I am over on Odyssey now. all this is mirrored over there. Okay. So yeah, with the government nowadays moving forward, we go into cyberpunk mode. We're going to be really bad off because like right here, here's the police you deal with, back in the day. Here's the police you deal with today. Okay. Yeah. Not fun. And not to mention, that like back in the day, if anybody's watched Back to the Future, I thought you'd get a laugh out of this one. So I got Buford Tanner up there on the wanted poster. But, like that would be how the government would hunt you down back in the day, right? They're like, yeah, reward $500, catch Billy the Kid, blah, blah, blah. But nowadays, thanks to China and all this garbage going on, especially with social credit score, they're finding everybody biometrically. Like, look at the kid. I want you to look at two things in this that really bother me. Okay. Right here, this kid walking down below, their face is recognized. They already apparently have a social credit score. Okay. Second thing is guy in the back left upper quadrant is not on the facial recognition scanner. So it begs the differ. Is he not in the system, or is he not in the system good enough? But nevertheless, it didn't scan him yet. But does he know that? I mean, it's a very curious oddity to me how this thing is working. But this is where they want to head down. And imagine now you cross the street wrong, and then all of a sudden you can't ride the bus that night or the metro or whatever. This is also why you don't need to be in the cities. Okay. I don't care if this thing goes forward, backward. You do not need to be living in the cities, which is something I'll get into here just shortly in a minute in this presentation tonight. But, right here, I did not know this. The Amish communities are being raided lately. Sad. Wow. I'm telling you guys, listen, as long as we're in this B system, nobody's safe. The best thing you can do is remove yourself as far away as possible. But that still doesn't mean that you're out of the woods. All right. So, which you actually need to go into the woods and get out of the city. But, right here, I mean, we're living in a time where instead of putting a wanted poster up and the sheriff rides 3 counties over to try to find you out in the wild, wild west, they'll just send a drone over and blow your house up in the middle of the night. I mean, like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to scare everybody, but this is the literal world we live in. Okay. I have a friend that they came, I think it was at 3 a.m., kicked his door in, a sliding glass door in, flashbanged his house, and hauled him off to jail. Like over the January 6th thing where that he was doing the media reporting or something up there, and they mistaked him for somebody else. I mean, like, this is the times we're living in. And please note, it will get worse, just like something out of Blade Runner moving forward. All right. Now, I subset these as I went through these because I'm like, there is a lot to a steampunk or a cyberpunk dystopian future, depending on which way this thing rolls out on the roulette wheel. Now, rule of law, I would much rather deal with things in a 1900s mode where that I'll take my musket and you take your musket. We'll take 20 paces and we'll settle this thing out right here now. All right. As opposed to the government sending the Terminator drone, Terminator bots, and hauling you off to the FEMA camp to kill you, or take you to the FEMA camp and then guillotine your head off. Like many great options out there, but I don't want to go that way. That is not the direction in which that I want to go. I would much rather go backwards to where all I'm dealing with is like a Mad Max kind of situation, like somebody brought up earlier, that kind of dystopian landscape, and not the following, where that the government is still not only very much alive and well during the trumpets, but it is doubling down. That is not the direction in which that we want to go. All right. Now, another thing, and this is one where, and keep in mind, guys, now this is not Luke pushing climate, energy crisis, junk, stuff like that. Now, that's what I'm talking about when I say sustainability. What I mean is sustainability where that we can thrive outside the city. Okay. See the city in the background, but we're away from that. People need to adopt this mentality. Put the cell phone down, get outside and plant some tomatoes, plant some broccoli, plant spinach, plant okra, plant something, put some potatoes in some tires. There is a thing, I don't know the exact book, so don't quote me on this, but it's I think it's called 1 Acre Garden, or 1 acre in your backyard garden. So it's something about how that you can make a 1 acre homestead or something like that. Just look it up. But it is, and please, if somebody knows what I'm talking about, put the link or tell me, and I will tell everybody here in the video. But it's this thing, and it's a template, and pretty much I think it's a handbook too, that how that you can take a backyard or a half or 1 acre and absolutely have a sustainable farm in your backyard. And I think you also can integrate the chickens into the mix of that. And, you know, you had rain catchment built in. A bunch of different factors were built into it. But once it was established, it was a continuous rotation. As long as, of course, you know, climate, you were in a decent climate to keep things going. And of course, wintertime, you'd probably have to shut it down. But if you canned that, stored it back, I mean, it was just great. And, you know, like, I have no problem having a wood fireplace for heat and sleeping in a simple bed and having a simple roof over my head and a nice little cabin out in the forest. I'd rather have that than be a multimillionaire living up on the beach and be washed away one day when the trumpets start and the second trumpet comes in and washes that place away. I'm fine with a simple lifestyle, guys. I am not above anybody, and don't try to act like I'm better than nobody. I can live a simple life. This right here suit me just fine. But this right here, that right there is Hurricane Sandy that came through, and in 3 days, people were walking the streets. Within 3 days, we're walking the streets in New York looking in trash cans for food. Now, I'm going to tell you, when things go backwards and regress, it is not going to go and bode well for people. All right, it is not going to bode well at all. And now, when things go cyberpunk and then regress back to steampunk 1900s era style lifestyle, people are going to be really jacked up. And this is why, is if they don't learn to be off grid and have the convenience of this modern life, but be their own provider of that, what's going to happen is they're going to get so enamored with the lifestyle that they've been given. Because, you know, anybody that was born in the 80s that has elders and ancestors and grandparents that still had an opportunity to be with them, that actually were homesteaders. I lived where that I was able to be with my grandparents and use a rotary dial phone and pressure can food and farm and living a lifestyle where there wasn't a lot of technology. And now, 37 years later, I have a smartphone beside me and a laptop and Wi-Fi and crypto mining and just knee deep. But if I had to pull the plug, I can pull the plug and go back to a normal life. Most people that are born today, the generation following mine, all they have ever known is technology. So if we go further into the belly of the beast and full-blown just android mechanical things, synthetic humanoids, and all this crazy tech and implanted devices and stuff like this, and then things fall apart during the trumpets, and then we go all the way backwards to the 1900s where they don't even know what a steam engine is if it slapped them in the face, that is going to be such a culture shock that they are going to probably, a lot of people will probably self-delete. And I don't want anybody to do that, but I mean, like, I'm telling you, like, you're dealing with three things at once. You're dealing with culture shock. You're dealing with poor choices made that you're going to have to deal with the ramifications from. And then you're also dealing with the fact that everything that was written in the scripture now has come to pass. It's true. And the 7 trumpets of Revelation are up on you, and you've not made any preparation for that. Dude, that is a triple whammy. Okay, that is a triple whammy, because let's peel back them onions, the layers of that onion. Number one is, let's say that it wasn't 7 trumpets of Revelation yet, right? Let's say that something bad happened and technology is gone. Now you've still not made no preparation for anything bad to happen, so you're going to face the ramifications of that. Then if we peel that back, and let's just say that we go all the way forward into this crazy society that we're headed toward, dystopian cyberpunk society, and then things fall apart. People have never took no notice to learn what the past was like, so they don't know anything other than that, okay? And that's where they're stuck in the matrix mode with the blue pill, okay? And so just crazy, man. It's a trifecta effect on this. And so, like, many people, like this lady's enjoying her nice luxury view out across the bay in the big city there she's living in. But one day that probably will be her, that will be her morgue right there. That will literally be her mausoleum, because they will die there of starvation and no water. I mean, you just think about that. It's just crazy. Phantom ring already a thing, people thinking they got a notification. I don't know exactly what that comment means. All right, and the last thing that I want to cover, guys, as I partially have touched on this along the way, but quality of life. I think people have absolutely lost the understanding of quality of life. Let's see. Farmers who are battling drought right now, their grasses are crisp and can barely locate baled hay for winter. Yeah, absolutely. It's wild out here trying to keep up farms right now. I want to share some scripture here on the back end of things. Is that Revelation 18:4 says, "And I heard a voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues." Okay. This house, you see this little simple homestead right here in this picture. They've got gardens. They've got a wind turbine. I'm sure there's some photovoltaic panels somewhere located on the house, probably on the other roof if they're smart, and depending on where the sun's shining. That's what I would do, use the already usable space, real estate you got, instead of having to put a ground mount in, unless you block ballasted on block like we do. That'd work too. But everybody needs to be thinking about, can I take care of myself, whether we go forwards or backwards? Am I going to be affected one way or another? That needs to be the mental effect and thought process that's going through everybody's mind right now. Because if you do not, you look at, what is it? It is Portland, Oregon, I think it is, the shanty towns that are up there right now. Ladies and gentlemen, please understand that what you see right there is somebody's home. That is their current real estate and residence. That is so sad. All right. That is absolutely just so sad. Father, y'all, please help them, give them hope and a home. And I just want you to understand that the decisions we make today absolutely guide the future of us. Okay. And, you know, right here, scripture says, Revelation 16, and there were voices and thunders and lightnings. There was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were up on the earth, so mighty an earthquake and so great. And the great city was divided in 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon came in remembrance before Elohim to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. Now, I want you to consider upon something, is that if you live in the cities and you're under the sound of my voice right now, please note that your life is going to drastically change one way or another. It is going to change if this system goes forward and then reverts back to the 100 years backwards, because of technology falling through its backside and no power production facilities and no means to get the power to people and et cetera, blah, 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 blah. It is going to change if you didn't make preparation at period. And it's also going to change most assuredly, despite whatever else goes on when the 7 trumpets revelation takes place, it's going to change. Because one thing I love about this picture is you can see like the skyscraper up top and everything, like how that, like you can see where it looks like that the stars have fallen out of that, third of the stars fallen out of heaven, and it's just like went through these cities and burnt them and stuff. Like, you do not want to be in the blast zone. And now that is an interesting thought process too, right there. The homeless are fine there getting good practice while the rest of us live in temporary luxury. Soon many will be asking the homeless how to survive. J.D. Israel, that is, that is very, very good point right there. Absolutely. And what is this? A phantom ring, addicted to dopamine hits for likes and constantly check their phone for it. They think they hear phone ring or notify them when there wasn't a notification. Nobody called. Oh man, that is terrifying. You know, I think that we all should learn daily to inflict ourselves just a little bit so that we get used to being without things. And being without things that we're used to, luxuries, because there's going to come a time when we're not going to have those luxuries anymore. And we need to really learn to dial things way back. You know, to me, I'll say this, that the only thing that I really need technology for, and I've tried to look at this and be like, if I had to really dial it back, what would I really want technology for? And I'm like, well, and now this is minusing out a wood stove, because with a wood stove, I can still achieve this. But outside of a wood stove, if you didn't have that as the option, I would say I would like to have power to pump water out of the earth through the well and to turn on the water heater and heat my water and take a clean shower. That's it. And maybe, you know, like run the toaster oven and the little Instapot for heating water. Once again, these are things you can use a wood stove for. But the whale, to actually pump the water out of the whale, I mean, like that would be one thing. You know, that is just, to me, the only thing I really fundamentally would say, hey, I want power for. And honorable mentions after that would be just run the refrigerator, run some lighting. That would be nice. Play some music to enjoy the heart. Which now I'm getting a, speaking of steampunk, cyberpunk stuff, I'm getting one of them old crank up, I think it was at 78 RPM record players, vintage ones. And I'll just put my records on that and play music when the world's fell apart. Whole world be burning. I'll be over here like listening to some Bach or Mozart or Beethoven or something over here just jamming out. But I mean, all in all seriousness, like I mean, like we really need to ask ourselves the question, what do I really need to survive? And you know, that it's just what do I need? And it's not a lot. You know, there's just absolutely not a lot that's required. That's an excellent point, Dana, right there. That is a good point right there. You know, recently, guys, I fasted roughly 24 hours. I didn't eat at work. I can't remember what happened. And for some reason, I just got caught up busy. Then I got home late, and I was like, well, forget it. I ain't hungry. And then I slept in. And then I got up the next day, and then it was almost noon or right at noon. And then I finally ate like 1 o'clock that day. It might have been a little over a full day that I fasted. And I was like, dang. I was like, well, that's good. I was like, I need to get used to this more consistently because it may happen. You know, this absolutely may happen. And let's see here. Agree, Lucas. We're in the Matrix already. As soon as I wake up, I turn on my computer or check my phone. And I am as guilty as ever, guys. I'm just as guilty. But now one day that will be no more. And we just need to understand that. And our goal should be to get out of the cities, to be our own utility provider, our own farm, our own food source, our own shelter, our own security, like be self-sufficient, because the main goal is to hold until relieved, you know, survive to see the new kingdom come, and by the grace of Yah, enter in. And Father, please forgive me a sinner and save me and fill me with your set apart spirit and let me make it in. Please count me worthy. You know, that should be the goal. And I brought this up, you know, because, well, for one, I find both genres interesting. But outside of steampunk or cyberpunk, it's always been the technologies that was always interesting to me. Old tech, new tech, and combining the two, which I think is very interesting. But I mean, can you imagine this? A YouTube video where a guy took a Victorian steam engine and hooked that to a modern day permanent magnet wind generator, heating the engine with an old boiler and charging a lithium phosphate battery and powering a house. That would be one heck of a YouTube video. All right. I am just saying. But we you know, can take advantage of, we need to take advantage of old technology and old, you know, old style, old world tech that was here, because our ancestors done quite well. I mean, our ancestors done absolutely phenomenal growing food, heating their home, washing clothes and hanging it out. I mean, you know, there's the old manual washing machines. Like I want to get one of them. Okay, so let's just, that's the end of the presentation for tonight, guys. But I just want to share some thoughts with you, things that I want at this farm. I want a vertical steam engine and I want a boiler. Okay. I want an old rotary hand washing machine. I want some old foot pedal power tools and hand physical power tools to keep up the upkeep of the farm. I have like a little punch list of things that I want to have, because if you got just, and a wood stove in the basement, get the wood stove hooked back up. And I've got one that you can bake bread in and all that good stuff. Praise y'all. But I mean, like, there is a short punch list that it's like, if somebody asked me, it's like, this is my top 10 list of like what I could have. I'd go right down through there and fill that up. And it's all old tech. It's all old tech, except for a lithium phosphate battery and batteries and the, you know, charger stuff for. And I still got my old clothesline poles out here on the farm that I can, throw my clothes on. I mean, I can go backwards, and I actually have no problem with it. I don't have an issue with it. The problem that we have is that we're forced to live in a society right now that is 100-mile charge an hour. I mean, it's just charging toward the goalpost, 100 miles an hour toward a cyberpunk dystopian future. And so what that mean by that is that if you go to try to get an appliance nowadays, you don't go to Lowe's and be like, man, I want to heat my home. I'll buy a wood stove. You got to go. You got to go order that special online anymore. I mean, even tiny house people have to order a special little tiny house stove to get them. Like, it's hard to get old tech. And I say a wood stove is old tech. All right. I actually tell people, if you're going off grid and I'm working for you, the number one thing you should have outside of land in a house is a wood stove outside of a well. Everything else, panels, wind turbines, batteries, all this fancy stuff, that's way back in there. That's way back behind there. Behind thing. On the 8-ball, those things way behind the 8-ball. But if you look at the situation, most people can't just go buy those things anymore. And like, if we want to go take care of certain solutions, like if you want to refrigerate food, all you can do is go buy a refrigerator. If you want to heat your house, well, you can buy a mini split, you can buy an air conditioning unit, you can buy electric heater, etc., blah, blah, but it's not like a wood stove sitting on the floor to be bought. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, if you want to wash your clothes, I have the pressure one that you put water in it and you put the pressure thing on it and you rotate it and everything. Like, you can do that. Oh, and somebody said, I seen this right there. This is a great comment. Said, Joy, I'm prepared many Bibles so I can give them out. Guys, there is a stack of Hallelujah scripture sitting right here on my desk that I'm going to be handing out when hard times come. I've got a stash of that ready to go. Because boy, going to be some people ready to listen up when that party starts. Let me tell you what. Oh, right there you go. That's a good comment too. Our house was hit by lightning and fried circuits. I cooked over a fire with cast iron for a while. I bet you did. My goodness. Yeah, everybody needs to have a backup. So, I mean, for me, if I had everything I needed in about 2 weeks worth of time, I could literally retrofit my home and be back. Well, literally, you walk in this room right here, you really would think you're back in the Victorian era. But like, I could retrofit my home and I could be back in 1900s mode real fast. And I take pride in that because, and now pride cometh before the fall. But I mean, when I say take pride in that, I take pride in the fact that it can be done. And the blueprint there is to be done. And we all should be following that out. I mean, like, if you have a shed, little tiny house out in the woods or something, and some land to grow crops and some water running on it and a fireplace, you are probably in the top 10 percentile prepared above everybody else in the world. There is millionaires. I'm going to say this and I'm going to wrap the show up. You do know there is millionaires and billionaires that have luxury yachts and they have nice homes and they have servants and manservants and maidservants and they have all sorts of assets and all sorts of digital numbers in their bank account, and they will starve to death and thirst to death and die in that house that they live in. I hope you guys understand that. Like, literally, that is how bad things are going to get. And if right here, my mom has one of these. I just literally am moving it to their new house for them. It's say I have a manual sewing machine. Yeah, my mom's got one. Just literally one of the Singer push pedal ones to keep the unit going. Just now that's another thing. Like the old tools, there's a saw. I can't think of the exact name of that saw, but you run it with the foot power and just incredible stuff, man. Just great stuff back in the day. The best machine you have is your body. This the biomechanical electrical machine right here. Oh, and the Most High divinely designed it. And, I see my daughter, last comment I'll make tonight on this, any of this, is I see my little daughter, and she holds my finger sometimes, and I'll just, pat on her, love on her, hold her, and I'm just thinking myself, every time I look at that child, I'm like, that right there is an example of a miracle from Yah. And I don't know why people don't believe in the Most High to think a human being can be born and grow and do the incredible things we do and have the mental capacity to do the things we do. it is just mind-boggling to me how people can't believe in the Most High. But hey, I don't have to answer for them. I'll answer for my own self. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this stream. Really think in this mindset, if things go forward into a really nasty future that we are definitely headed, we can all see it. As a matter of fact, I want to look and see the vote is 53% voted cyberpunk and 47% voted steampunk that we would be headed to. So it looks like cyberpunk won out. That would have been my vote. But I agree that I think that things will go that direction. They will fall apart, and then they will revert back to, we're going to go backwards 100 years, and it is going to be like Mad Max 2.0 crazy stuff. And we need to be ready for that. We need to be out in cities. We need to be self-sufficient. So, guys, as always, till we see you again here at Seven Trumpets Prepper Channel, hope Most High Yah Baruch you and keep you, make his face shine upon you, show you favor, and give you shalom, my friends, in Yahushua name. And I'll see you next time on the stream. And guys, make sure if you haven't got plans for the Georgia Guidestones, make sure if you're out that way, stop in, visit with me while I'm out there. See you guys.